Hey pals, it's Holmes from Storybooks. Whoa, it feels very weird to say that. It's been a while, 9 or so months, I think. Long story short, I started working part-time and then very quickly went into full-time, working in a nonprofit where I did a lot of reading as a part of my job, so I didn't get to read recreationally. That contract unexpectedly finished. Another update. I started working in a library, which means I am surrounded by books and all my coworkers do on their breaks is read, which is wonderful. I'm currently borrowing one book a shift, so, it's going well. Coming back and easing myself into the world of BookTube, I thought I'd take it easy on myself and give you all a library book haul. Also, I wanted to let you know just before we start this video that I switch between accents all the time. I can have a Canadian accent, I can have an Australian accent, I can have a British accent, anything but consistency. So just come along for the ride. And the first book on this pile is Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusti Bowling. This book is about Avon, a girl who moves to a dilapidated West End theme park where her parents work. What is exceptional about Avon is she's ginger, adopted, and born with a limb difference. Everyone, I feel really seen by this book. This girl is ginger like me, adopted like me, and disabled, not quite like me. I have cerebral palsy, she has a limb difference. If she were queer, it would be perfection. Anyways, Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus is very heartwarming and all about empathy and finding your place in a world that doesn't accept you or accepts you conditionally. There's also a mystery to be solved. I finished reading this book a few days ago and definitely really liked it. Avon's voice is very enjoyable and it's definitely character focused, which I like. I found it super easy to read and relatable at times. I would have given it 4 stars, but the way the adoption theme was handled bumps it down to a 3. Being adopted myself, I have some very complex and layered experiences around it, so I'm super picky about these themes, so don't let that deter you from reading. My other gripe was the plot was resolved very quickly, but then again, it is a middle grade novel, so I can't be too harsh. The next one I read was Wishtree by Katherine Applegate. This one is about a red oak tree called Red, and every year in May, people write their wishes and tie them to the tree and hope they come true. He's a very old tree and loves his neighborhood. A Muslim family moves in, including a little girl Samar, and not everyone is kind to them. Red resolves to do everything in his power to rectify this. This book made me cry like twice. It was a powerful novel and very well written. The language is pure and uncomplicated and full of emotion. Often, if I'm reading a book with a strong moral message, I can find them a little bit dry. And even as a child, I found them a little bit dry, but I love this a lot. 4 stars. F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Love of the Last Tycoon. Oof, after reading so much middle grade, this feels like a really wordy book. This is about a wealthy young heiress falling in love with one of Hollywood's moguls. What I love about it is the setting. It's set in 1930s, 1940s Hollywood. The story begins on a plane, and just the way Scott describes the plane and airports within that 40s setting is gorgeous. However, I am a little bit confused by the direction of the narrative, but also the voice. Originally, I thought the narrator was a man because there is quite a masculine voice coming through the text. I think this text was not completed by F. Scott Fitzgerald and then compiled by the editor Matthew J. Broccoli. And I think Broccoli has done a great job so far, but I'm missing that pull that I get when I read Fitzgerald to keep reading more and more. However, I have hope. Over the last few pages, my feel for the narrative has improved a lot. Let's go, Scott. Give me your super cynical, cold, heartbroken image of Hollywood in the 1940s. The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. This book has my favorite middle grade formula, and that is, girl realizes she is special or cursed under fantastical circumstances. Usually on or around her 13th birthday, she becomes an apprentice of some kind and goes on some great adventures to figure things out. So this is about a witch called Zan, who is a good witch, but accidentally feeds a baby moonlight instead of starlight, meaning she will be extraordinarily powerful. The baby, called Luna, which seems a little bit cruel to be honest, is approaching her 13th birthday and her magic is emerging with thrilling and dire consequences. So it totally ticks all my boxes. The only thing is, it is quite long and the text is like itty bitty, but I will persevere. The next book on my list of checkouts is The Chronicles of the Black Tulip, The Vanishing Island by Barry Wolverton. It is a series about a young man called Bran, whose father is a cartographer living in the city of Map. There's an old dying sailor who gives Bran a secret code to crack. If he cracks the code, he will find treasures untold. It sounds like a wonderful, rollicking adventure story, similar to the Edge Chronicles by Paul Stewart and Chris Riddell, which was about sky pirates and adventurers and all of those fantastical things. What I love about middle grade more than anything is its sense of wonder. Like, adult fantasy novels spend so much time with exposition and telling you why a thing is the way it is and why history exists the way it does. I don't care. I've already suspended my belief. Tell me a good story. So if you know any sexy, adventurous adult fantasy stories that aren't super heavy on lore, let me know in the comments below. Having said that I don't like huge, sprawling fantasy books, let's look at the next one on the pile and call myself out. Kushiel's Dart by Jacqueline Kerry. I'm laughing at myself. This is about a masochistic sex worker who finds pleasure in pain. She becomes a spy while her nations are at war. Courtly intrigue, sex, ambitious warlords, scheming courtiers. This book is supposed to be super atmospheric. It also seems to be everyone's exception to a genre. Like, I don't read fantasy, but I like this book, or I don't read erotica or romance novels, but this was really good, so maybe I'll love it. I love that I'm just showing you all these books, by the way. Like, look at all these books, which I can totally read in the time that I totally have. Wild. The next one, I don't even know if I have to talk about it, but it is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and it is about a young girl who loses her friend to police violence and racism in America. It is award-winning, critically acclaimed, and stayed on top of the bestseller list for months. When I first got in the hold queue for this book, I think I was like 381, so that gives you an idea of how well circulated this book is. I tried to read it a couple times, once by audiobook and once like this, but I couldn't quite get into it. I have a tumultuous relationship with young adult novels, but then again, I loved The Marathis by Cherie Diamondline, so who knows. It's so thick though, and the pages are so thin. Also, there are like 6 people waiting for this book. Pray for me. Lois, the Witch, and Other Stories by Elizabeth Gaskell is one I will definitely have to renew if I have any hope of reading it. The writing takes a lot to get used to, but the blurb is like incredible. The first line is, fear of Satan becomes murder in the name of God. Hostility, cruelty, jealousy, mad desire, an old woman's curse, gothic tales from a powerhouse like Gaskell. I'm ready. The last book on this enormous pile is The Flight of the Falcon by Daphne du Maurier. Everyone, look at the cover of this book. It's pastel. All of Daphne's other books are decidedly dark, usually navy, purple, or green, but this one is like bright blue and I love it. This follows the usual formula of Daphne's, which is man is living a somewhat contented but somewhat humdrum life to be thrown into a murder investigation in some beautiful location. In this case, it's Italy, and the hero in question is Amino Fabio, living in the town of Rafano. Maybe time travel or the old history of the town is involved, but either way, Daphne is a master of suspense and historical fiction, and there's a big twist hiding in there somewhere. I just know it, and I'm keen as a bean to read it. So there we go. Those are all the books that I apparently am going to read sometime soon, somehow, with the time that I totally have. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. In terms of my channel, I have a few plans. I want to review a trio of recipe books once I've cooked more from the third and final book. I want to talk about finding great reads by chance in the library stacks. Intellectual freedom, challenge books, and all of those things are coming your way. Anyway, let me know what you're reading down below and we'll talk soon. Bye everyone!